Tobin and Sean Levine on the BetQL Network.
Well, it is Saturday night for most of us. Welcome back into the BetQL Network with Brendan Tobin and Jake Noaker. It's your boy, the sports machine, Sean Levine. The fights are underway in Denver, which last time I checked is Mountain Time. We'll keep you updated as the show rolls along. The main event, Tracy Cortez, no hair, underdog, made weight against Rose Namajunas. She's the betting favorite at minus 225. Let's talk all things fighting with Patrick McCorry from Combat Sports UK and Cage Side Press. Welcome into the show, my friend. The Octagon finds its way to Manchester coming up here in a few weeks. And the main event is Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad. Tom Aspinall is on there, Paddy Pimblett. Who would you say right now is the best fighter from the UK? Because it feels like the opinion varies on this one.
Yeah, I think you have to go with Leon Edwards. For me, he's been around the game for a long time. He had a very slow rise up the welterweight division. He took out a lot of top guys. Maybe not the finisher that Tom Aspinall is, but I think he really dominates every single one of his wins.
What do you think about this upcoming matchup against Bilal? It feels like Bilal, had to basically become last resort to finally get the title shot that he deserved. I think he's game for this, but a lot, Leon is used to this type of style. He's taken out some of the best grapplers. So what do you feel about Leon's chances in this upcoming title fight?
Oh, Leon is obviously the favorite for a reason. Most of Leon's last opponents, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, they've all been wrestlers. So he's been in training camps for wrestlers. I don't think it's a style. I don't think there's anything really Bilal Muhammad brings that would throw Leon Edwards off. That being said, I do think Bilal does a better job than, let's say, Colby Covington, mixing up the striking and the wrestling, in transition.
Patrick, it wasn't that long ago that Paddy the Baddy was getting comparisons with Sean O'Malley, right? They're both good on the microphone. They both had the cool hair. And then O'Malley kind of had a rocket ship tied to his back where he was in big fights, right? You think about the Piotr Jan fight, you think about the Alger, and he was winning all those fights. And of course, now he's the champion. We know how good Sean O'Malley is. Do we know how good Paddy Pimblett is yet?
I definitely think Paddy's underrated. He had that bad performance against Jared Gordon, or maybe Jared Gordon is that
he
good.
Lost that fight. He lost that fight.
I agree, but I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, they're still on that point of he lost that fight." But you look at he had a very good performance against Tony Ferguson. Granted, I know Tony Ferguson is on a big losing streak, but I think when you look at where Sean O'Malley was, right, and he fought Pedro Munoz, and he eye poked him, it was a no contest. But I think Pedro was ranked number 11. This is kind of where Bobby Green is ranked as well. I think this is Paddy Pimblett's Pedro Munoz fight to gauge where he's at. And if he can beat Bobby Green, then you can push him into the top 10. I don't think he takes as big of a step to like a Piotr Jan kind of level fighter. But I think then you can kind of push him towards maybe a Beneil Dariush or something. I think that would be a logical step up, a guy who's been in the top but is kind of falling out of it with his recent results.
I mean, how crazy is you're covering this fight for Cage Side Press in Manchester? Are you blown away that it's going to be at 3 a.m. local time? Because there was a lot of talk from Tom Aspinall that that they should usually you at K cards. Hey, we're starting at 6 Eastern over here. We understand the deal. Are you blown away that this is actually going to be gauged towards the American audience, and it feels like it's going to be people drinking all night and throughout the hours?
So when I first applied for the credentials, I didn't know this was going to be an all-nighter, right? So then after I apply, I'm like, oh, it's an all-nighter. Okay, I'm used to this from a fan perspective. But as soon as the fights are done, I go right to bed. I'm up from midnight till 7 a.m., right? I go straight to bed. I'm sleeping until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But with this, I'm in a work mode, and then I have to be out of my hotel at 11 a.m. My flight's not until 6. I don't know how I'm going to sleep after this. But, you don't, when you're doing an event, you don't get out of the arena, no matter the size of the event, UFC, Octagon, any of these events, you don't get out of the arena until about 2 hours after the event because of the editing, because of all of those things. So It's definitely going to be a tough shift. I've never done anything like that before, but I have been up till 7 a.m. writing for Cage Side Press, but no press conference. It's going to be a lot of monsters being down that night. I can confirm that for sure.
I was just going to ask you what the drink of choice was because I was the one that was down here in Miami. I think got out of here like 2 in the morning. I think is when it ended. So to imagine that the main event doesn't, it's like none of the main guard has started at that point. You're probably, what are you looking at, like 7 in the morning, and then just you might as well just hop in an Uber to the airport, dude.
My flight's not until 6 o'clock, so I think I might just try and go directly to the airport and try and like just pay to be able to go into the business lounge and sleep. But then if I go to sleep, I'm gonna miss my flight. I know just my
Definitely.
luck. I'm gonna way oversleep
Just
it.
Oh, sleep when you're dead, boys. Worry about that later. Patrick McCorry joining us here on the BetQL network. Funny you talk about BT Uber after fights because I tried to grab an Uber after the fights in Kansas City, the Arnold Allen Max Holloway main event. Arnold Allen's also on this card, by the way. And dude, it took me 2.5 hours for an Uber, and the Uber took me
Mhm.
$15 to get there and $78 on the way home. So I actually wouldn't mind sticking around for a few more hours when the crowd is a little bit less. Hey, Patrick, while we're talking about fighters across the pond, at least for us, we got to ask about Conor McGregor. Me and the guys are kind of going back and forth on, is he ever going to fight again? Where are you on
I hope he fights again. He was the fighter that got me into MMA. And he is a legend. He is an icon for a reason. I think if you ask 20 people out in your town who don't know anything about MMA, you ask them name an MMA fighter, they'll say Conor McGregor, right?
that? Sure.
We want him to fight again. We need the Michael Chandler fight. I'm getting to the point where I feel bad for Michael Chandler. He spent all this time now waiting for this fight, and it's just like, the meme with the fishing rod is like, oh, you almost had it. It feels like
Sure.
that. This is what this is. It's just like, oh, we're 2 weeks away. Nope, not happening. It's I feel bad for Michael Chandler. I want this fight to happen more so for Michael Chandler than Conor McGregor being back now.
speaking of Ireland, so Ian Machado Gary just got this win over MVP. I was sour about it because I had MVP on my ticket for it, but whatever. I'm over it now.
No, you're not.
But MVP came out. I am. MVP came out this week. He says he doesn't believe Ian Gary has what it takes to be a champion. Do you? Do you feel like even at his ripe age, I don't really quite know right now like what his go-to is in a fight, but at 26, there's still a lot of time. Usually guys don't win the belt to the very early 30s. Do you feel like Ian Gary has the qualities to become a champion?
1,000%. I do think he will be a champion in the next 5 years. I think the only thing stopping him would be Shavkat Rakhmonov. But that being said, when you're talking about Ian Gary, I feel like he's so young. He's been around this game for so long for someone who's only 26, and he's gone to Brazil and now he's learning jiu-jitsu from the best. Charles Oliveira, Damian Maia. You see it in his fight how confident he was when he took MVP's back. Yeah, he didn't finish it, but that was excellent back control. I do think he needs to get some more finishes to get the hype back onto him because I think he's lost some hype with some recent decisions. And, he is stepping on a back foot. But then again, when you're fighting a guy like MVP, who you make a wrong move, you've got a knee breaking your nose. So I understand the safety, right? But I do think Ian Gary will be a champion in the next 5 years, 100%.
Speaking of champions, I'm not sure why, but John Jones still is the current heavyweight champion. Feels a little bit weird. He's getting the special treatment that like only him and Connor get. That Dana White privilege, if you will, Patrick. Let's say that Tom Aspinall beats up Curtis Blades, and I think that's what's going to happen. I'm going to put a lot of money on my boy Aspinall. And John Jones says, screw it. I'm not waiting for Stipe anymore. When I'm healthy, I'm coming back. I'm fighting one more time, and I'm fighting whoever's got the belt. How do you think a fight John Jones versus Tom Aspinall will go down? Because maybe I'm naive, but I would put a lot of money on Tom Aspinall because he'd be an underdog.
Yeah, especially if you're coming from a betting perspective, if Tom Aspinall is the underdog, you put money on that, right? 1,000% you put money on that, and I would be doing the same. But I think it comes down to the age factor. Tom Aspinall, he's in his prime. John Jones, I do think is out of his prime. I really think John Jones is going to fight Stipe and he's going to retire. I think that's the way it's going to happen. And then it's not going to feel as fun but Tom Aspinall, like Robert Whittaker, will just be promoted to the unified champion. And so, speaking of that fight, I do think Tom Aspinall wins in this current time, just because you've got a prime athlete versus an older athlete.
Speaking of Robert Whittaker, there's a little bit of an interesting thing going on right now with Sean Strickland, where he is dead set against not fighting Robert Whittaker to earn a title shot. You agree with his stance? Do you feel like that he has earned the shot right back to fight for the title, or you feel like that's going to cost him because, you know, if these guys who try and wait on the sideline, sometimes it can bite him in the butt and they don't get the title shot? What do you make? Should he fight Robert Whittaker, or should he wait it out and get the winner of Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya?
I don't think there's any other clear-cut middleweight contenders. I guess, yeah, Robert Whittaker you can put in that, but I think Sean Strickland, being the champion, losing the title in such a close fight that I personally thought Sean Strickland won. I think he's absolutely in line to say, no, I'm going to wait. I want my rematch with Dricus du Plessis or my rematch with Israel Adesanya, a guy who Sean Strickland dominated. So I think Sean Strickland is absolutely in the right here to wait for his title shot.
Great stuff, dude. Great accent also, by the way. Patrick McCorry from Combat Sports UK and Cage Side Press here on the BetQL Network. Thanks, my guy. Let's do it again soon.
100%, anytime.
BT, I think Strickland's scared of Robert Whittaker. I just don't think he wants to fight him. Am I crazy?
I don't think
Whittaker wins.
BT, who you got in that
he
fight?
says it. I agree with him. I think listen, you're talking about a dangerous former champion. I think that there is a reason he doesn't want to, put it on the line there. And I guess, look, Sean's been great, but definitely he knows that Robert Whittaker could be capable of taking that title shot from him.
1 hour in the book, boys. Round 2 coming up. 2 grown men fight each other on your radio. It's called You Gonna Fight Me on the other side, right here on the BetQL Network.